What y'all think of the movie?
Oh,
Awesome. I mean, if it was shit, just tell me it was shit. Yeah, that's actually good.
That's a good fucking cake.
I know, right? Hey, don't you hate it when you had your birthday cake?
I shouldn't you?
You guys see me as made her come?
Dude, I'm showing like photos now and we're all like,
Oh, jerking off on the cake.
What is that? What was that movie? What's that movie where they're like eating like frosted donuts? They're oh
Van Wilder.
And they get to the bottom and it's like a dog jerking off on the donuts.
Well, the dog didn't jerk itself off. They jerked the dog off into the donuts.
I swear, man, I have no fucking dignity, man. What the fuck is wrong with
took a cake for you.
Look, man, $20 is $20. Okay, Q&A. Who's got questions?
So I have a question about licensing this out here. Obviously, we noticed you didn't say Nintendo anywhere, but you did show Super Mario Brothers footage. And also, there was, most of the time you didn't have your Chicago Cubs theater tap, but there was a sequence where you did. Was that just like an error, or?
So, okay. I'll address the hat thing. We contacted Major League Baseball, asked if we could show the logo. They said contact the Chicago Cubs. They never got back to us. So just to be safe, so we didn't get sued, I just went with the plain blue hat. Now, when I put it on, that was like 2 weeks before the premiere, and we needed that transition shot in there. And I was like, dude, fuck it. Like, just at this point, fuck it. Like, we were even covering up tattoos and stuff like that because the person, like, this is a Star Wars tattoo, but the person who put it on me, the artist, he could have sued us for using his work without permission. So, like, we're taking the thing seriously.
Funny thing about tattoos, real quick, is that's something that WWE was getting sued over on one of their video games. The artist for Randy Orton's tattoos was threatened in lawsuits. So
Yeah.
basically, you have to avoid that with tattoos.
Now, with the video game footage, that's definitely a Billy question.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Looks like Papa Smurf came on your fucking head.
Or he ordered the Blue Man Group.
Is everything blue? How blue is it?
That's gone now.
It's fine.
I seriously I'm thinking to myself,
It's gonna dye your skin.
I really regret
Oh,
doing
shit, I
that,
have
and I'm
some
like,
too.
fuck, I got $20 now. I can get like a gallon of gas now. I don't know what was the fucking question. Okay, so right, so the game footage. So, funny enough, we actually had a fan that worked in Nintendo of America. So, like legitimately, I could call up Nintendo of America and talk to somebody who was a fan, who could literally walk to the next office over and talk to the legal department. Yeah, and so I kind of like ran some stuff by him, and he was like, "Hey, look, they're not going to sue you, but they're not going to give you permission, but they're not going to sue you. It's sort of like because for Nintendo to give you permission to use all their shit, that means that they put their for lack of a better word, I guess, Nintendo stamp of approval and everything. So it's like they have to assign a person, oversee it, all this red tape and money that they throw into it. So on their end, they're just more likely to say, we're not gonna like do all that, mumbo jumbo, but we're just not gonna sue you. Just don't do anything really crazy with the NES. So I was told don't
Basically, don't make Nintendo look bad.
Don't make Nintendo look bad, and that was never something we were going to do anyway. So it's not like we had to compromise what we were going to do, right? So it's not like we had to sell out and be like, okay, well we were going to like shit on the Nintendo, but now we can't. So that was never the intention anyway. So I was like, okay, cool, we're good to go then. That's not going to be an issue. And, but when it came to the Nintendo footage, like the actual Mario Brothers playing, we had, like, I had somebody actually doing graphics of like a knockoff Super Mario Brothers that was like not actual Mario Brothers. But then I'm like, I'm watching Netflix one day, and I'm watching a movie on Netflix, and they're showing footage of like Super Mario Brothers, and I'm like, I know they didn't get permission to do that fucking shit. So I was like, fuck that.
So Botom's answer is fuck that.
But the funniest explanation you did was in California with the Rocky Court.
The video was there.
What Rocky Court?
They weren't the Mario Brothers.
So in California when we did
Well,
this.
they're really, okay, look, they're really strict on the sound effects. Yeah, really strict on the sound effects. So I was like, err on the side of caution. But basically, we were told we're not going to be sued unless we're just like complete assholes. If we're assholes about it, we're going to get sued. I don't feel like we were assholes, but I don't know.
The quote I was saying in California was when somebody was like, with the tattoos and the logos, you're like, well, eventually you thought about it, you're like, fuck it, sue me for what?
Yeah.
Like Rocky.
I know, right? Sue us for what? I mean, sue us for what? My Nintendo games? Like,
Yes,
I
but
don't know.
Yeah, so, I love the ending sequence, charge of nerds, right? But so is copyright issues, like I was expecting way more references. There's so many great references in the movie, like I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost. It's so, like the script is really good. But I was expecting like Ready Player One level of nerd army stormtrooper hats. Was that ever one of the visions you guys had? Or was it like copyright?
Money, time, you name it,
Yeah,
it was
money,
all.
time.
So ultimately that was the vision that you had, or is it just a concession for other reasons?
Well, the nerd battle was shot, so when we initially shot the nerd battle, it was this big conception of what it was supposed to be.
Right.
What ended up happening was the AD, the first assistant director who was in charge of scheduling, overbooked that particular day, which means that we had way too much shit to do that particular day, and not enough time to do it. What added to that complication was the fact that it started to rain, and with us being super low budget, we don't have safety days. Because safety days, each day we shoot is thousands of dollars with the crew that we have. So we didn't have a day to be like, we're not Marvel to where like this day particular, if this day if it rains out on this particular day or whatever, we don't have time on the inside to say, makeup days essentially. Because we don't have money to pay the crew. So what ended up happening is we didn't have shit that nerd battle because it was a complete rain out, nothing, so all of that was just pickup shots throughout the year. We'd go back and we'd just shoot a little bit here, a little bit there. And that's why I say when he was saying it's 3 weeks of shooting, it's not 3 weeks of shooting, it ended up being like 6 weeks of shooting. Because when you talk about like reshoots and pickups and all that throughout all the year, and so what that was originally conceived to be just morphed. And it came to a point where it's like, what I really want to do, we're not going to be able to do, because he had he had some stunts that he was going to perform, all this stuff that was supposed to happen, and it was just like, I got to get something, just anything. So we just kind of made it up on the fly.
Yeah.
It's one of the curses of being just low budget, and that's just the way it is.
Quick follow-up then?
Yeah.
Was there actually no Magic the Gathering in the party scene? And if so, why? And if so, I hate you.
was there any actual magic?
I think there was some magic cards there, but none of us are dorks enough to know how to play that.
Okay, when it comes to that, we were like, literally, like I'm no joke, we were like, we need nerds. We did a casting call for nerds.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck they brought, they brought.
So
That's
I'm
awesome.
for the sequel maybe, because I got all the Magic cards.
There was
Right.
tabletop stuff.
Right.
There was tabletop
Whatever
stuff.
they brought, they
Right,
brought.
good,
So,
good,
right,
But
yeah.
I'm like, and here's the reason I asked, is because Magic the Gathering, anytime they're mentioned in anything, they'll like put you on the mothership website. And I was like, while I was watching it, I was like, oh man, I could submit them. Where the fuck's the Magic cards?
So what you're saying is you have to add a pickup shot of
Add a
a
pickup
deck.
shot of a deck.
Just
Yeah.
being shown.
I thought it was funny during that party scene, you guys had Trivial Pursuit cards in your hands, but categories.
Oh, it was a mess.
Yeah,
It was a mess. There was all sorts of shit all over the place.
Yeah. Next question. Right here, glasses.
Damn.
Yeah, you're, well, there's some other classes. Yes.
This chat
Sure.
right here.
The NES that you were using, was that an actual NES or like a prop?
It was actual, it functional, worked.
Did it survive?
Yeah, it really has
You had everybody sign it, right?
Yeah, we had everybody sign it like that last week. We were all the cast, crew, everybody.
There's a main NES and there's a stunt NES.
Legit.
The stunt NES actually got, I think, like a chip broken out of it.
Oh, okay.
Cause I threw it up, like, I was getting some pickup shots and my wife was like, I was like, okay, you need to catch this.
Oh, God. No.
So the shot where it's like, it's coming down in slow motion, that was a pickup shot that we got afterwards. And I'm like shooting it, they're like, you need to catch this. She didn't. She didn't catch it. So, and like, it just slammed on the concrete and just destroyed, but. A lot of, you know what's funny is like a lot of what you see with the NES. So we had an issue with the logo. So one thing, going back to like the legal stuff, Nintendo, one thing they said was like, please don't show the logo. So that was one thing we had to do, was like cover up the logo.
Even the NES box,
Right.
we found that in the basement, if you didn't pay close enough attention, it doesn't say Nintendo on it at all.
They
So-
allowed you to say NES.
Right, so they don't want to show the logo because again, whenever we show like the logo, that implies that it's endorsed. Thank you. Endorsed by them, and they're not endorsing it, but they're also not like saying they can't do that. So it's like this weird gray area. So we had to cover up the logo. So as you all know, on an NES on the front, like flap, the door that opens up on the top where you put the games in, there's a Nintendo logo on it. So we had to cover that up. And you know, a lot of times on small budget, you just do what you do. So Mo at the time, who was the
Art director.
the art director, put a sticker on the front of the NES.
Duct tape, I think.
Yeah, well, it
Gaffer
wasn't
tape,
duct
was it
tape.
gaffer?
It wasn't duct tape. It was like, well, it was tape, but it was kind of like designed in a way to make it look like it was supposed to be like on the NES. It wasn't just like, let's just slap some tape on here and call it a day. It was actually designed to make it look like it was part of the system. But as I got into editing, I'm like, that doesn't look good, man. So every shot that you see of the NES, I literally went into like post-production and I'm like, I just don't like that. I think it looks like shit. And that's not a knock on Mo. I mean, he was just doing what he could do at that particular point to cover up the logo. That's just part of it. But as I was saying, I was like, this isn't going to translate well. It's like a big sticker on the front. I just don't think it looks good. And so I had to go in there frame by frame digitally and just erase that and just like literally every shot where you see the front of the NES and take off that tape to where it's like it's nothing. It's like just gray. So yeah, every shot that you see of the front of the NES is completely digitally altered. It's
And the box too.
yeah, in the box, like we had a completely different box there on set where it's like they just put like tape over the NES logo and I just recreated all that digitally. I was like, that's part of the reason why it took so long. It's like I had to go in there and digitally just alter so much stuff.
Yeah, if you look at the trailer that came out and you see when he opens the box, it's like, oh look, an NES. It's like the tape over where it says Nintendo. You made it say NES in the Nintendo font instead on the movie, so you
Yeah.
can see like photoshopped.
That's fun though. I love that shit. It's fun. It's fun to me.
Okay, question about locations, and you paid for those locations.
Yes.
I've heard other filmmakers talk about, oh, we found some free locations, but they didn't run us off. or they
Well,
didn't catch us."
First of all, fuck those guys.
We need some different logos.
So,
Yeah, give them the number.
yes, we paid for just about every location. I guess like we didn't pay to drive on the road, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess if you wanted to get down to it, we probably should have had permits and all this other shit and blocked off roads and blah, blah,
We
blah.
did. We did have permits. We have permits.
No, not on